Yes, it is time again to play some more Ace Attorney. I decided I wanted to now start doing an upload schedule. This is going to be every Monday. Every Monday will be Ace Attorney Monday. So where were we? Over the trial. Would you like to load save? Yes. October 18th, 10 a.m. District Court. Courtroom number 4, not 1. Court is now in session for the trial of White Powers. Prosecution is ready, Your Honor. The defense is ready, Your Honor. Very well. Mr. Edworth, your opening statement, please. Prosecution will show the court that at 2:30 p.m. on October 15th, the defendant, Mr. White Powers, killed fellow actor Jack Hammer in Studio 1 of Global Studios. It is impossible for anyone else to have committed this crime. The evidence presented during the trial will all point to this fact. I see. Very well, I would like to move on to some testimony. Mr. Edworth, the prosecution may call its first witness. Very well. I call a most familiar face, Detective Gumshoe, to the stand. Detective, if you would briefly describe this case to the court? Yes, sir. I'll explain with guide map here. Okay. To understand this case, it's important to grasp the layout of the studio area. This here is the employee area. No, dumb. The actors will run through their action scenes during the morning here. This is the main gate to the studios. The security lady that works at the studio was here at 1 p.m. on that day. Past the security station, there's a gate, see? Past that, there are studios. And here is Studio 1. This is the scene of the murder where the body was found. Now, on the day of the murder, October 15th, there was only 3 people there. The victim, Jack Hammer. The defendant, Will Powers. And a young woman, the production assistant. All the production staff were in the employee area until noon. Then after lunch, the victim, Jack Hammer, went to Studio 1. Right after that, at 1 p.m., the security lady got to the guard station. Now, jump ahead to later that day, 5 p.m., the prosecution staff came to Studio 1 to perform a rehearsal. Needless to say, the rehearsal was canceled. Because he had a perfectly good-sized hole in his chest. The time of death was 2:30 p.m. The samurai spear found lodged in the victim's chest was the murder weapon. At least it's not the thinker, holy moly. That's the case in brief. Anyone like to hear that again? Should I listen to the whole thing again? Listen to the whole thing again. I'm sorry, could you describe that one more time for me? I should have known it would be you, pal. Fine. Once more for the mentally challenged lawyer. Live it up while you can, Gumshoe. To understand this case, it's important to grasp the layout of the studio. Okay? This here is the employee area. The actors did a run-through of the action scenes during the morning. This is the main gate to the studio. The security lady that works at the studio was here at 1 p.m. on that day. Past the security station, there is a gate. Past that are the studios. And here is Studio 1. This is the scene of the murder, where the body was found. Now, on the day of the murder, October 15th, there were only 3 people there. The victim, Jack Hammer, the defendant, Will Powers, and a young woman, the production assistant. All the production staff were in the employee area until noon. Then after lunch, the victim, Jack Hammer, went to Studio 1. After that, 1 p.m., the security lady got to the security guard station. Now, jump ahead to later that day, 5 p.m. The production staff came to Studio 1 to perform a rehearsal. Needless to say, the rehearsal was cancelled. The time of death was 2:30. The samurai spear was found lodged in the victim's chest, was the murder weapon. That is the case in brief. Anyone wants to hear it again? Should I listen to the whole thing again? Skip it. I think I can probably remember that. So, the murder weapon was a spear. How medieval. I guess. Samurai spear. This spear was found stuck in the chest of the victim. Your Honor, this case is quite simple if you ask one question. And that question is, what did the security lady at the guard station see? Understood. Let's call the security officer to the stand. Will the witness declare her name? Huh? My, aren't you a handsome fellow? I'm afraid I'm a bit flustered. Your name, please? Oh, dearie, you don't need to. You don't need for you to be embarrassed. Just call me Grandma. Your name, please. Seems Edgeworth has a bit of trouble getting his witness to say their names. Wendy Oldbag? Wendy Oldbag? Your last name is Oldbag? Oh my, that's hilarious. Again, I can't read that quick. Objection. I object to the witness's talkativeness. Objection sustained. The witness will refrain from rambling on the stand. I was just getting to the good part, dearie. Perhaps we can get to the testimony. Now the witness was stationed at the main gate on the day of the murder, correct? Yesy, I was. And to get to the scene of the murder, someone would have to pass by you. You know your stuff, dearie. You may begin your testimony. Sure. She sure is one hell of an old bag. On the day of the murder, I arrived to the guard station at 1 p.m. Poor old Hammer and the rest have been doing a run-through there since the morning. I had some errands to run that morning. Anyway, it was 1 when I got to the guard station. I was at the main gate until 5. Now, the murder happened at 1:30, right? Interesting to me because a certain man walked by at 2 p.m. It was Powers, the man right there, and he was heading towards the studio. You saw the defendant then? Well, well, very well. Let's begin the cross-examination, Mr. White. Yes, Your Honor. Cross-examination. On the day of the murder, I arrived at the guard station at 1. Poor old Hammer and the rest had been doing a run-through there since the morning. I, well, had some errands to run that morning. Anyway, it was 1 when I got to the guard station. I was at the main gate from then till 5. Now, the murder happened at 1:30 p.m., right? Interested in me because a certain man walked by me at 1 p.m. 1. Are you sure? Sure as spit. Well, who was the man? Really? You should try not to get so excited at your age. You might strain something. Now, don't get your shivers in a bunch. I'll tell you who it was. It was Powers, that man right there. And he was heading towards the studio. Are you sure? Because you can't tell that was him. Let me get this straight, Oldbag. Miss Oldbag. You've been saying since yesterday that you saw Mr. Powers, correct? But you're talking about the man in this photo, aren't you? Just a moment, Mr. White. Let me see that photo. Yeah. You can't see it's him? He had a mask on. What is this exactly? None other than the Steel Samurai, defender of Neo Tokyo. Miss Oldbag. I love that name, Miss Oldbag. Is this the Mr. Powers that you saw? Of course. Didn't your mama teach you any sense, sonny? Anyone can plainly see that's Mr. Powers. No, they can't. Well, I mean, I wonder. True, Mr. Powers does play a role of the samurai. But that does not mean Mr. Powers is the Steel Samurai. I know that. Wasn't born yesterday. No. No one in this court accusing you of that, witness. He's having trouble calling her old bag, apparently. However, you do not have proof that this person in the photo is Mr. Will Powers, do you? Nosy old man. Of course I have proof. What? Huh? Even Edgeworth is surprised. The prosecution would like to ask the witness, please make known of all information in your possession ahead of time. I to know everyone would be so nosy. You should be ashamed of you all. Anyway, I showed that picture to the young detective. He told me this isn't any good evidence. He didn't even give it a second look. Whoa. Lady Windbag has left even Edgeworth speechless. She's good. Well, when you're dumb and don't want to do anything, well, I guess hold out on evidence, I guess. Let's hear about your proof then. The man in the photo. I never said anything I didn't mean. Mind you, that morning during the run-through of the action scene, I saw Powers trip and fall. and he broke one of the props. It was a big mess. Apparently, he sprained his ankle pretty badly. Now look at the picture. You can see him dragging his leg clear as day. That's how I knew it was Mr. Powers. Dragging his leg? Mr. Powers is tall. Whoever's in there is short. It has to be. So he had sprained his ankle. Very well, Mr. Wright. You may cross-examine the witness. She's got to be holding out something. I'll press until she squeals. Okay. I never say anything I didn't mean. Pressin'! Whippersnapper? Hey, I haven't said anything yet. I have you know I'm not pointing fingers at anyone behind their backs. Anything I've said on the straight and narrow, up and up. Okay, this is just going to go into his tyrant. Mr. White, please, for all sakes, try not to upset the witness. I think Edgeworth has met his match. Morning, during the run-through of the action scene, I saw Master Powers trip and fall. Trip and fall? Yes, and to think he's supposed to be the Steel Samurai. What a laugh. So the Powers sprained his ankle. I helped make it better for him, of course. You helped make it better? I kissed it where it hurt. Let's just skip over that part, shall we? Where was the assistant then? She was cleaning the backdrops, I think. She didn't even know about Powers' anchor. You may continue your testimony. He broke one of the props. It was a big mess. He broke a prop. Sure did. His own samurai spear. The samurai spear? The murder weapon? Luckily, I was there with some duct tape to fix it. This strikes me as a significant detail. I'd better write this down in the court record. The murder weapon. A break in the shaft has been muddled with duct tape. Apparently, he sprained his ankle pretty badly. Was Mr. Powers' ankle badly sprained? Not so bad that he couldn't walk around. He went to his dressing room to rest after lunch, thus the nap. Anyway, I saw him dragging his foot when he walked. Dragging his foot. Okay. I think we've had enough. Haven't we, Your Honor? Well, there is one thing that bothers me. Which is, where's the Steel Samurai costume now? Actually, well, we couldn't find it. We're looking through, though. Anyway, that's not important. The witness did see the Steel Samurai, yes. And it's clear that the person in the Steel Samurai suit was Mr. Will Powers. White. I suppose that's right. Are you sure? Are you sure, You're sure, Your Honor? I'm checked. Hold it right there. We keep talking possibilities, but we have to agree that this photo shows the Steel Samurai. Nowhere in this photo can you see Mr. Will Powers. Defendant has a point. I also wonder if someone else not caught on camera would have killed Mr. Hammer. We have to consider that possibility also. The heck you're talking? Then allow me to remove the doubt from your mind, Mr. Honor. Will the witness continue her testimony, please? No need to ask twice. The witness's account. The time of poor Hammer's death was 2:30. True. The only person I saw go to the studio before was Will Powers. No one else went there. If they had, I would have seen them. Hmm? Hold on, did I read something wrong? Because... Oh, Mr. Hammer's dead. Will Power, okay. So if no one else went to the studio, then it would have to be this Steel Samurai who did it. Mr. Wright, your cross-examination. Something feels off. The time of Hammer's death was 2:30 p.m. The only person I saw go to the studio before then was Will Powers. You're absolutely sure? Of course, quit Sonny. Nobody's suspicious looking past it all. Nobody's suspicious looking, right? No one else was there. What about before you got to the guard station? You mean before 1? Why, everyone was in the employee area before then. And I locked the main gate so no one could get in. Not to mention, if they had, I would have seen them. Are you sure? The witness has answered the question. Anyone going through the studio had to pass by the witness. That's right, Sonny. You let him have it, edgy boy. Edgy boy? Or Windbag sure has balls, or will you know, or well, you know what I mean. Old Windbag have a way of skipping over important details after all, or, for the matter, entirely forgetting them. Now, convenient, something for you to look forward to, perhaps. The time of poor Hammer's death was 2:30. 2:30. That's on the map. The only person I saw go to the studio before then was Will Powers. No one else went there. If they had, I would have seen them. All Windbag, the way, skipping over important information. My dog is wanting to be a little cozy, huh? Sorry, distracted by my dog. Now, convent. Something for you to look for. I'm missing something. Time isn't true. How do you know that? Didn't I just explain? I gave donuts to the young detective, and then after some rubbish about it being a secret, he told me everything. Secret shares. Officer's fondness for donuts. Main person who saw only person. The only person I saw go to the studio before then was Will Powers. The only person I saw... Yeah! How can he go to the studio? Let's see. This evidence clearly reveals a contradiction in the statement, Your Honor. How exactly is that the evidence just irrelevant? They aren't, are they? No! Mr. Wright, please enter the facts. I don't think that won me some points with a judge. The only person I saw go to... Yes, no. And if I had, it would have been seen then. I am not doing so hot in this. Hold on. Look at this photograph one more time. This photo was taken by the camera at the gate for the studio. Yes, Sonny. So, whenever anyone passes by here, it automatically takes a photo. And here, I thought you didn't know your head from a hole in the ground. Right. Anyway. It's also true that the computer in the guard station records all security cam data. Oh, you know, if you wanted to work at the studio, we might have an opening. That very computer printed this out. Note that on the back of the photo, it printed the words October 15th, 2, photo number 2. Even I know that means it was taken at 2 p.m. on October the 15th. Really, Sonny? Actually, I know that too. The issue here is the bit at the end where it says photo number 2. Photo number 2? The computer only held the data for only one photo on that day. Don't you think that's odd? Should this photo be photo number 1 if it really was the only photo? Order? Order! Please tell the court what you mean, Mr. White. Actually, it's what I want to ask the witness. This evidence shows that not 1, but 2 people went to the studio that day. Yet there is only 1 data for 1 photo. Who could have erased the data of the other photo? Only someone with access to the security ladies herself. Eek! Me? And it's going to go, oh, you watch your mouth, whippersnapper. The only person I saw that day was Will Powers. But the camera on the gate fired twice. That means 2 people went by. Well, yes. That's what it would seem to mean. Can the witness explain this to the court? I don't understand these new fangled computer things. Edgy boy, help? Believe me, I want to, but I don't know what this means either. So, help you are. You're a whippersnapper too. Whippersnapper. Something the matter, Miss Oldbag? That's right. I just remembered something. Let me guess. Someone else passed by the gate, someone other than the Steel Samurai. Well, yes, I suppose. I could have put it that way. I see. Your testimony, please. The other person. Every day after I finish my guard duties, I have one other important job to do. I go through the photos recorded on the security computer, and check them. I throw out any photos that aren't suspicious looking. So you see, come to think of it, now I remember throwing out one photo that day. This Miss Oldbag. This is the first I've heard of this. Well, of course, Sonny. I only just remembered it. Right. Anyway, Mr. Wright, please cross-examination. Well, I'll say this was a turn for the unexpected, but I kind of expected it. Cross-examination. Every day after I finish my guard duties, I have one other important job to do. Another job. That's right. That's right. I check all the people that passed by the main gate that day. I look closely at every one of the photos that security camera takes. Do you back up all of the security camera data? Well, they keep telling me to yes, but those computers are just so frustrating. I throw out any photos that aren't suspicious looking. You see? How exactly do you determine what isn't suspicious looking? Oh, you can tell by looking at their faces, for the most part. This is a murder trial, Miss Oldbag. Well, I didn't touch that suspicious looking Will Powers photo, did I? I think she's missing the point. Come to think of it, now I remember throwing out one photo that day. I'm just going to press until something hits. Well, who in the heck was in the photo you erased? A fanboy. A fanboy? Steel Samurai's fanboys. Real freaks, if you ask me. They get information about rehearsals from gosh knows where. They're always hanging out. One was there that day. Wait a second. Didn't you just say no one else could have gotten in? I locked the main gate so no one could have gotten in. Ha! You're lying through your teeth. You are lying through your dentures. Well, if you must know, there's a drain that goes into the employee area. The grate has been loose for a while. It leads outside, and well, that's where they come in. They come in through the drain. I told you they were freaks, and they're kids, children, whippersnappers. Kids. So, on the photo that you erased, it was a boy, probably 2nd or 3rd grade. What? Order. Let me get this straight. You saw 2 kids pass by the gate on their way to the studio that day. One was the Steel Samurai dragging his leg. The other was a boy who looked to be about 2nd or 3rd grade. Oh yes, well, we see his type here every day. Can't stop him, can't catch him. A boy in 2nd or 3rd grade. I assume it would have hard. It wouldn't be hard if. Okay, I assume it would be hard, if not impressive, for a young boy. Impossible for a young boy to wield a samurai spear. Possible, I would think. It's quite heavy. Right. As I said, I didn't pay much I didn't pay him much attention. That's why I erased the data. Nick, what's going on? I mean, the boy was there. That makes him a suspect. Yeah, and you're already trying to unsuspect him? And they're trying to unsuspect him. Oh, there was another witness. Most likely he was there. Ooh. I hope so. I want the defendant and the prosecution to consider this new information. And no, forgetting vital information this time. October 18th, 11 a.m. 11:08 a.m. Lobby 3. Mr. Powers. Yes? Tell me straight. Were you really in your dressing room? You didn't go to the studio. No, I didn't go to the studio. I was sleeping, honest. So, who was the Steel Samurai in the security photo? Who should I know? How should I know? The Steel Samurai costume was off in the corner of my dressing room. Anyone could have walked in and taken it, really. What? You should take better care of that stuff. I could imagine anyone would want to steal a Steel Samurai costume. So, where does this leave me? It doesn't look good. Sniff. You're the only likely suspect right now. Nick! What are you going to do? First, we play for more time. Well, we'll start targeting someone else that could constantly have done this. Right. And it'll take them so long to shoot us down that we can get another day. Right. But if we pick the wrong person, we might lose on the spot. You don't sound very optimistic. I'm not optimistic. Not at all. Hey, Nick, it's time. Okay, let's go. What does this mean? Please don't sigh like that. Sniff. Okay, we're back in. We are back in, baby, back. Court will recover for the trial of Mr. Powers. Mr. Edgeworth, will you present the prosecution's thoughts on this matter? The prosecution's thoughts are simple. Nothing has changed. The other person who went to the studio was a boy, roughly 10 years of age. The photo we do have may not be hard evidence, but there is still no one else who could have committed this crime. I call for the verdict of guilty for the defendant, Mr. Powers. Very well. So, Wright, what's your thoughts? The defendant disagrees with the prosecution's claim. There is another person who could have committed the crime. Order. Interesting. Let us hear who you have in mind. However, be aware that this court does not look kindly on accusing the innocent. If you accuse someone who is obviously innocent, you will be penalized. Right, as if the stakes weren't even high enough. Who is the person other than Mr. Wright that could have committed the murder? The assistant girl is security. Small boy, no. Assistant girl. We're going to accuse the security lady just based on how he was talking. It was the security lady, Mrs. Oldbag. Who? The Steel Samurai is dragging his leg in this picture. That means whoever was in the suit knew about that morning's injury. Maybe because they had been watching the action scene run through. There was only one person other than Mr. Powers and Hammer who knew about this injury. Security lady, Oldbag. What? Whippersnapper? Order. Is this true, Oldbag? Oldbag? That's Miss Oldbag to you. Miss Oldbag was standing guard alone at the main gate. She knew by herself. In other words, she had no alibi. She could have briefly left her post to steal the Steel Samurai costume, then slip into Studio 1, the scene of the murder. Well, why would she go through the trouble of wearing the Steel Samurai costume? Simple, Your Honor. She knew the camera at the gate would take her photo. She knew if she was in the costume, she could point the finger at Mr. Powers. I see. Excellent detective reasoning, Mr. Wright. Oh yeah, right here. Sherlock Holmes 2, baby! That's odd. Isn't this the part where Edgeworth prosecutes? Didn't he usually jump up with objection and say new damning evidence? Well, Mr. Wright, does the prosecution have an opinion on this matter? The prosecution has no meaningful objections at this time. But what? What's that supposed to mean? Oh, so you think I did it? Is that it? Edgy boy, don't just sit there, do something. What's my move? Maybe now my chance to take this whole thing away. Press further. Always press further, always. Oldbag needs to be pressed. The very same reasoning that makes Mr. Powers a suspect in this case can be used to cast doubt on Mrs. Oldbag's actions that day. But why would I do something so horrible to poor Hammer? You forgot that Mr. Powers leaks. A clear motive, too. Indeed. That did it. Now Windbag is one of the suspects. No hard feelings, I hope. Just wait a minute. What about the other person who went to the studio? The boy. The one whose photo I erased. He's only a grade schooler, though. As you said, 2nd to 3rd grade, was it? That doesn't matter. When I was that age, I could pin up old man for 10 seconds tops. I could pin my old man for 10 seconds tops. Your thoughts, Mr. White? That boy is not the killer. But what? How can you be so sure? Oh. Or to be nice to the kids, the mean to the elders, day whippersnapper. I have proof. Proof? Indeed. Let's see this proof, Mr. White. You have proof that shows... Oh yeah? Oh yeah! Oh no, I don't know if it's this or this. It has to be. Your Honor, the murder weapon was a samurai spear. That very spear is shown here in this photo. How could a boy have taken a spear? It's impossible. I see. Well, would the witness care to comment on this? The Windbag is speechless. This has got to be the first. Very well. This court is suspended. Proceedings on the current trial for tomorrow. Miss Edgeworth, please find out more about your witness, Mr. Windy. What was her name? Something, Oldbag, Your Honor. Then the prosecution will look further into this Oldbag before we continue. That is it. This court is adjourned. Wait a second. I'm not going to just sit here while you run off, barking up the wrong tree. Me? I'm talking. Oh, great. Stop the presses. The Windbag wants to talk. Mrs. Oldbag, what is this all about? Have you omitted something from your testimony? Actually, if you must know, there's nothing I was told not to talk about. There's something I was told not to talk about. Not talk about? By whom? You mean it wasn't Edwards who told her not to talk? Well, testify. My lips were sealed. Global Studios wanted me to keep quiet about something. There were some other people at the studio the day of the murder. They said they had nothing to do. They said they had nothing to do with it. See? So they told me just pretend that they hadn't been at the studio that day. But if you're going to accuse me, I'm not letting them get away scot-free. Miss Oldbag, this crucial information. Why did you keep this from the court until now? Aren't you been listening? They told me to shut my trap, and I always do what I'm told. This isn't a bad dream, Your Honor. Witness the power of the old bag. Fudge. You may cross-examine. Okay. My lips were sealed. Global Studios wanted me to keep quiet about something. So you were told not to talk. That's right, by the studio and the TV bigwigs, no less. Why didn't I hear about this? Don't be too hard on yourself, Sonny. We were all in on it. There were some other people at the studio on that day of the murder. Who were these people? Well, the director and the producer, for starters. The director. We should have known something was fishy. How could they done a run-through of an action scene without the director? Of course. Well, yes, I was surprised no one asked about it. So, where were these people? The director was in the employee area all morning for the run-through. He joined the producer around lunchtime, and they had a meeting after that. Where? Oh, in the Studio 2. In the Studio 2 trailer. Studio 2 trailer? There was a Studio 2? Well, if you look at the guide map, here it is. You go through the main gate and all the way to the left. The path where the monkey's head has fallen over. Well, Mr. Pruitt, would you like to continue your cross-examination? I think I've already asked all my questions, but continue cross-examination, yes. They said they had nothing to do with it, I see. Miss Oldbag, this is a trial of murder. I know it was that silly. Still, they were pretty convincing about having nothing to do with it. And they gave me a little bone on the side. So, you got a bonus, and you still talked? I think I asked all the questions okay. Let us continue. I guess there's no harm of getting as much info as I can. Global Studios wanted me to keep quiet. There were some other people at the studio for murder. They said that there's nothing to do with it, you see? So they told me to just pretend I haven't seen at the studio that day. So they were actually in the studio? Yes, the whole day. Then they head out to the then they heard about the murder. They beat it before the cops came. Grumble. I'll kill this woman, I swear it. I feel sorry for Edgeworth almost. She really left him hanging on this one. But if you're going to go using me, I'm not going to be letting them go scot-free. Them? Who are these people? Well, the director and the prosecutor and the producer. Director, we should have known something was fishy. How could have we run through blah 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 yakety yak the story now read about? Well, surprised you asked. So there were people. Okay. Oh, guess I'm going to go through this again. Well, I'm pretty sure that is all I need to do. Yep. All my questions are done, I guess. I don't want to have to go through this again. Take a break. Your Honor, we have learned there were others at Global Studios on that day of the question. The director and the producer and some big wigs were all present. Yet, as we stand here, they have not been questioned. I hold that is important. I hold that is impossible to declare the verdict on the defendant, Mr. Powers. The court acknowledges the defendant's point. Prosecution will gather more information about this witness and more information about these other people we have just been told of. I understand, Your Honor. This ends the day's proceedings in the trial of Mr. Will Powers. That is all. This court is adjourned. October 18th, 1 p.m. 1:04 p.m. District Court. Thanks so much, Mr. White. I was right to ask to defend me. Really, it's nothing. Bryn. Oh. Or should I sniff? Well, we'll be going down to the studio to do some more investigating. We have to find out more about this director and producer. They'll be turning up in the next trial as witnesses for certain. So now, my chance to get material for the cross-examination. So Nick, have we figured out just who it was in the Steel Samurai costume? Could it really have been Oldbag? What do you think, Mr. Powers? I don't think it was really her, really. Neither do I, Nick. Yeah, I know. Look, I was just buying time back here. Someone had to be the bad guy for a bit to take the pressure off of Mr. Powers. Poor old Windbag. I kind of feel sorry for Windbag. Well, she wasn't winning any points in there with or without my accusation. Okay, let's get down to the studios. Right. We'll be back to visit you soon. Thanks, guys. Sniff. To be continued. And that is where I'm going to be ending it for today. Yes, I would like to save. To be continued. Investigation. Well, that was actually kind of fun. I really love the fact that her name was Oldbag. Oh god. Really like the name that was old. Her name was Oldbag, and then kind of just evolved into Windbag because she did talk a lot. Well, like I said, that's it for today. And goodbye.